Have you ever had a moment when the world seemed determined to break you, only to discover that your greatest strength was hiding beneath your deepest struggles? In today's story, we witness the journey of a woman pushed to her breaking point, a single mother fighting against a system that judges her circumstances rather than her character. Humiliated, desperate, and with her child's future hanging in the balance, she faces a choice that will change everything. What she doesn't realize is that sometimes our darkest moments become the doorway to our greatest opportunities. As her carefully planned interview crumbles around her, fate steps in to reveal the extraordinary power she's been hiding beneath her ordinary appearance. This isn't just a story about second chances. It's about the moments that define us when nobody's watching, the courage to stand up when others look away, and how true strength often comes disguised as vulnerability. Have you ever been judged unfairly before others knew your full story? Share your experience in the comments below. Would you like me to make any adjustments to this introduction? It's designed to immediately grab the viewer's attention, create emotional investment in the protagonist's journey, and encourage engagement to the opening question. Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome to Love Crib, your ultimate destination for all things romances, connection, and heartfelt stories. I'm thrilled to have you here, sharing this amazing journey of exploring love in all its beautiful, complex, and magical forms. Whether you're a hopeless romantic, someone searching for relationship insights, or just love diving into heartwarming content, you're exactly where you need to be. If you're enjoying what you see, I'd be incredibly grateful if you could hit that subscribe button to stay connected with our Love Crib community. Drop a like to show some love, support, and motivation. Share this video with someone who might need a little romance in their life. Your support means the world to me and helps us continue creating content that celebrates love, connection, and the beautiful stories that bring us together. The harsh buzz of the alarm clock jolted Olivia Carter Wake at 5:30 a.m. Her hand fumbled for the snooze button, but she stopped herself. Today was too important for even 5 extra minutes of sleep. The 34-year-old single mother pushed herself up, wincing at a familiar ache in her shoulder, a permanent souvenir from her final martial arts championship. "Mom!" Emma's sleepy voice called from the doorway of their cramped apartment bedroom. The 8-year-old stood there clutching her worn stuffed rabbit, her dark curls a tangled mess around her face. "Is today your big interview?" Olivia smiled, pushing aside her own anxiety. "It is, sweetheart. The very big one. Did I wake you?" "I wanted to wish you good luck," Emma said, climbing onto the bed and wrapping her small arms around her mother's neck. The gesture nearly broke Olivia's composure. This interview wasn't just about her professional future. It represented everything for them both. 3 years had passed since Mark had walked out, leaving behind nothing but debts and broken promises. 3 years of Olivia working multiple jobs while trying to be both mother and father to Emma. Her daughter deserved so much better than their current situation. The apartment with a persistent leak in the bathroom ceiling, secondhand clothes, and the constant worry about making ends meet. As Olivia stepped into the shower, her mind raced through their financial situation. The eviction notice hadn't been a surprise, but the timing couldn't have been worse. After being laid off from her administrative position at Gardner Financial last month, their precarious stability had completely collapsed. Her savings, what little she'd managed to put aside, would cover this month's rent, but after that, the water ran cold too quickly, another reminder of their circumstances. Olivia wrapped herself in a towel and returned to her bedroom to face her closet, which held few options for professional attire. She finally settled on her only suit, navy blue, slightly outdated but well-maintained. She'd purchased it 4 years ago when life still held the promise of stability. While Emma ate breakfast, Olivia reviewed her resume one more time. The gaps were obvious. Once ranked 3rd nationally in women's jiu-jitsu, she had abandoned her athletic career when Emma was born, prioritizing stability over passion. Her work history since then was a patchwork of administrative roles and part-time positions that accommodated single motherhood but did little to advance her career. "You look pretty, Mom," Emma said, milk dribbling down her chin. Olivia smiled, wiping her daughter's face with a napkin. "Thank you, baby. Remember, Mrs. Wilson will pick you up from school today. I should be back by dinner, but if the interview goes well, I might have some paperwork to complete. Will we have to move if you get this job? Emma asked, suddenly serious. The question caught Olivia off guard. Children noticed everything, even when you try to shield them. Maybe, but not far. And any change would be for the better. Meridian Enterprises is a great company with benefits and regular hours. And you won't have to work nights anymore. Olivia's heart clenched. That's the plan. After dropping him at school, Olivia hurried to the bus stop, checking her watch anxiously. The interview was scheduled for 10 a.m., and she planned to arrive 30 minutes early. Everything was carefully calculated, until her phone rang. "Olivia, I'm so sorry." Mrs. Wilson's apologetic voice crackled through the speaker. "My grandson's running a fever. I can't pick him up today." Panic surged through Olivia's chest. "Mrs. Wilson, I have this interview." "I know, dear. I feel terrible." After hanging up, Olivia called every backup childcare option she had, growing more desperate with each failed attempt. Finally, she reached Emma's friend Lily's mother, who agreed to help, but could only keep Emma until 4 p.m. The bus arrived, already crowded with morning commuters. As Olivia squeezed inside, her phone rang again. The school's number flashed on the screen. "Miss Carter?" Emma forgot her inhaler today. 20 minutes later, Olivia was rushing back toward the bus stop. Emma's spare inhaler secured her purse, watching helplessly as her carefully planned timeline disintegrated. The clouds that had been threatening all morning finally opened up, and rain began to fall in heavy sheets. By the time she caught the next bus, her carefully styled hair was plastered to her head, her suit jacket was spotted with raindrops, and she was officially going to be late. The final blow came when the bus broke down 3 blocks from Meridian Enterprises. Olivia, along with the other frustrated passengers, was forced to continue on foot through the downpour. She arrived at the towering glass building at 10:17 a.m., soaked, breathless, and fighting back tears of frustration. The lobby of Meridian Enterprises resembled a luxury hotel more than an office building. Marble floors reflected the crystal chandeliers overhead, and sleek furniture arranged in minimalist groupings spoke of wealth and success that felt wholly removed from Olivia's reality. "I'm here for an interview," she told the receptionist, trying to smooth her damp hair. "Olivia Carter, I know I'm late, and I'm so sorry." "Please take a seat," the woman interrupted, her expression professionally neutral but her eyes taking in Olivia's disheveled appearance with obvious judgment. "I'll inform HR of your arrival." The waiting area held 3 other candidates, all impeccably dressed and dry, their portfolios resting confidently on their laps. Olivia felt their sideways glances as she took a seat, clutching her worn leather folder like a shield. A young man in an expensive suit leaned toward the woman beside him. "Looks like someone didn't check the weather forecast," he whispered, just loud enough for Olivia to hear. The woman smirked, or understand the concept of an alarm clock. Olivia kept her eyes fixed on her resume, her cheeks burning with humiliation. She couldn't afford to react. This position, executive assistant to the CEO, represented everything she needed. Stable hours, comprehensive health insurance that would cover Emma's asthma, and a salary that would finally lift them out of their month-to-month existence. "Carter?" A sharp voice called from the doorway. A woman in her 50s with severe platinum bob and designer glasses regarded Olivia with thinly veiled disapproval. "I'm Diane Hartwell, HR Director. You're late." "I apologize," Olivia began, rising quickly. "There was an emergency with my daughter, and then the bus." "We have a strict punctuality policy at Meridian." Ms. Hartwell cut her off. "The CEO's schedule is extremely valuable. Follow me." Olivia followed the woman down a long corridor, uncomfortably aware of the squishing sound her wet shoes made on the polished floor. They entered a glass-walled conference room where 2 other staff members waited with tablets and evaluation forms. "Our applicant has finally arrived," Ms. Hartwell announced, her tone making clear what she thought of Olivia's tardiness and appearance. "I truly apologize for—" Olivia tried again. "Let's not waste any more time," Ms. Hartwell interrupted, gesturing for Olivia to sit. "Your resume indicates you've had 6 positions in the past 3 years. Would you consider yourself unstable in your employment?" The accusatory tone made Olivia's spine stiffen. Following my divorce, I've taken positions that allowed me to provide for my daughter while being available for her needs. Several were temporary by design, and I excelled in each role, as my references will confirm. Ms. Hartwell's expression remained skeptical. The CEO requires absolute reliability and professionalism. The executive assistant position isn't conducive to frequent personal emergencies. I understand the requirements, Olivia replied, struggling to maintain her composure. My childcare arrangements are stable. The lie felt bitter on her tongue. One of the other interviewers, a younger man with sympathetic eyes, looked up from his tablet. Your previous supervisor at Gardner Financial gave you an excellent recommendation. Before Olivia could respond, Ms. Hartwell interjected. Yet they let you go after only 8 months. There were company-wide layoffs, Olivia explained. My department was eliminated entirely. Ms. Hartwell made a note without looking up. You've listed martial arts experience under your skills. Rather unusual for an executive assistant position. I competed professionally before my daughter was born, Olivia explained. The discipline and focus it requires have proven valuable in every position I've held. Ms. Hartwell responded, clearly unimpressed. We're not looking for bouncers, Ms. Carter. The younger interviewer looked uncomfortable at his colleague's rudeness, but remained silent. Olivia felt the opportunity slipping away with each passing moment, the weight of responsibility for Emma pressing down on her shoulders. What we need, Ms. Hartwell continued, is someone who understands corporate etiquette, professional presentation, and... A commotion from a hallway interrupted her. Through the glass walls, Olivia could see several employees gathering by the windows overlooking the street below. Their expressions ranged from concerned to alarmed. Excuse me, the younger interviewer said, rising to investigate. Ms. Hartwell sighed impatiently. Let's continue. Tell me, Ms. Carter, how you would handle conflicting priorities from executives with competing agendas. But Olivia was distracted by the growing crowd at the windows and the young interviewer's now pale face as he returned. There's trouble in the parking lot, he explained hurriedly. Someone's being harassed. Ms. Hartwell's lips tightened with annoyance. Security will handle it. Now, Ms. Carter. But Olivia was already on her feet, peering through the glass. In the parking area below, she could see 3 men surrounding a young woman who was backed against a car, her face a mask of fear. The company security guard was nowhere in sight. Excuse me, Olivia said, her instincts overriding any concern for the interview. I need to check something. Ignoring Ms. Hartwell's indignant protest, Olivia hurried from the room and down the hallway toward the emergency stairwell. Years of training had ingrained in her responsibility to act when others were in danger, a principle she tried to instill in Emma despite their circumstances. She descended the stairs 2 at a time, her body remembering its old agility despite years away from formal training. As she pushed through the exit door into the rainy parking lot, she assessed the situation with practiced efficiency. The young woman, petite with long dark hair, perhaps in her mid-20s, was clutching her purse to her chest. The 3 men surrounding her varied in size, but all wore dark hoodies partially obscuring their faces. The largest one, positioned directly in front of the woman, had something metallic glinting in his hand. "Hey!" Olivia called, drawing their attention. "Is there a problem here?" The 3 men turned, momentarily surprised by the interruption. The woman's eyes widened with hope and fear. "Walk away, lady," the largest man growled. "This isn't your business." Olivia moved closer, calculating distances and positions as she'd been trained to do. "I'm making it my business. Let her go." The man with the knife laughed, nudging his companions. "Look at this. Wonder Woman's here to save the day. Last chance," Olivia said calmly, dropping her folder and purse on the wet pavement. "Step away from her." Instead, the smallest of the 3 men lunged toward Olivia, clearly expecting to intimidate her with his size advantage alone. It was a mistake. Years of muscle memory took over as Olivia sidestepped, caught his extended arm, and used his own momentum to flip him hard onto his back. The impact knocked the wind from his lungs with an audible whoosh. The second man hesitated just long enough for Olivia to step into his space. One precise strike to the solar plexus doubled him over, followed by a sweep that took his legs out from under him. He crumpled beside his companion, gasping. The leader, knife now clearly visible, circled more cautiously. "You're gonna regret that, bitch." Time seemed to slow as he lunged forward with the blade. Olivia's body moved through a familiar pattern. Deflect, trap, control, disable. In one fluid motion that had won her championships years ago, she trapped his knife hand, twisted until his grip failed, then executed a perfect hip throw that slammed him into the pavement with controlled force. A quick follow-up wristlock had him howling in pain, the knife skittering away across the wet asphalt. The entire confrontation had lasted less than 15 seconds. Breathing hard more from adrenaline than exertion, Olivia secured the leader's wrist in a hold that kept him immobilized without causing permanent damage, a technique she perfected during her competition days. "Are you all right?" she called to the young woman, who was staring in astonishment. "Why, yes," she stammered. "That was incredible. Who are you?" "Someone who's probably just blown a job interview," Olivia replied with a rueful smile. "Do you have a phone? We need to call security." Within minutes, company security personnel emerged from the building, followed by police officers who had been patrolling nearby. The young woman explained what had happened, pointing repeatedly to Olivia as she described the takedown with animated gestures. One of the officers handcuffed the leader, who was still nursing his wrist. "You picked the wrong target this time. Reynolds, we've been looking for you and your crew for weeks." Only then did Olivia realize these weren't random troublemakers, but known criminals. She watched as all three men were taken into custody, the officers thanking her for her intervention. "Ma'am, we'd like to get your statement," one officer began. Olivia glanced at her watch and gasped. "I'm in the middle of a job interview. Can I come to the station later?" After receiving a card with contact information, Olivia retrieved her now-soaked folder and purse from the ground. Her resume was ruined. Her suit was even more disheveled, and she was certain the position was lost. Still, she couldn't regret her actions. As she re-entered the building, she tried unsuccessfully to make herself presentable in the reflective surfaces of the elevator. Her hair had come completely undone, her makeup was smudged, and a run had developed in her stockings during the confrontation. The professional image she'd struggled to project was thoroughly shattered. When the elevator doors opened on the executive floor, she was surprised to find Ms. Hartwell waiting with an expression that mixed irritation with curiosity. "Ms. Carter, while your extracurricular activities are certainly dramatic, we do have an interview to complete." Olivia nodded, squaring her shoulders. "I apologize for the interruption. I'm ready to continue." The glass conference room now had a new occupant. Seated at the head of the table was a man Olivia instantly recognized from business magazines and company literature, Alexander Reed, the founder and CEO of Meridian Enterprises. At 40, he had already built one of the fastest-growing technology companies in the country, known as much for its innovative work culture as for its groundbreaking products. He stood as they entered, his tall frame impeccably dressed in a charcoal suit that Olivia suspected cost more than 3 months of her rent. His expression, however, held none of the judgment she'd faced from Miss Hartwell. Instead, his gray eyes studied her with undisguised interest. "Mr. Reed," Ms. Hartwell began, clearly surprised by his presence. "This is Olivia Carter, interviewing for the executive assistant position. As I was explaining to her before the incident, punctuality and professional presentation are core values at Meridian." Alexander Reed extended his hand to Olivia, ignoring his HR director's pointed comments. "Ms. Carter, I believe we have much to discuss." His handshake was firm but not dominating, the grip of someone comfortable with his own authority. "Please, sit down. Diane, thank you for handling the preliminary interview. I'll take it from here." Ms. Hartwell's perfectly composed face couldn't quite hide her shock. "Sir, we haven't completed the standard assessment protocol." "I'm sure Ms. Carter's file contains all the necessary background information," he replied pleasantly but firmly. "I'd like to speak with her privately." The dismissal was clear. With tight lips and a final disapproving glance at Olivia's disheveled appearance, Ms. Hartwell and the other interviewers exited the room. Once alone, Alexander Reed studied Olivia for a moment before speaking. Would you like a towel? Or perhaps some coffee? The simple kindness nearly undid her professional composure. A towel would be wonderful. Thank you. He pressed a button on the conference phone. James, could you bring a towel and 2 coffees, please? Thank you. Returning his attention to Olivia, he asked, How do you take your coffee, Miss Carter? Black is fine, she replied, bewildered by this turn of events. A woman after my own heart, he commented with a small smile. Simple, efficient. When the requested items arrived, Olivia gratefully dried her face and hands, then wrapped the towel around her shoulders like a shawl to absorb the lingering dampness from her hair. Your resume indicates you were quite accomplished in martial arts, Alexander began, surprising her with this opening. Yes, before my daughter was born. I competed nationally. And yet you gave up entirely? Olivia nodded. Emma, my daughter, came first. Competition required travel, unpredictable hours. It wasn't compatible with being the mother she needed. A significant sacrifice, he observed. Not from my perspective. Olivia replied honestly. Some choices aren't really choices at all. Something in his expression shifted. Approval, perhaps, or recognition. Tell me, Ms. Carter, why do you want to work at Meridian? It wasn't the question itself, but the genuine interest behind it that caught Olivia off guard. After the morning's disasters and Ms. Hartwell's dismissive attitude, she hadn't expected to be taken seriously. The truth? She asked, deciding that pretense was pointless after everything that had happened. Always, he affirmed. I need stability for my daughter. Health insurance that covers her asthma medication. Regular hours, so I can be there when she gets home from school. She met his gaze directly. I'm not going to pretend this is my dream job, or that I've always aspired to be an executive assistant. But I'm incredibly organized, I learn quickly, I'm discreet, and I work harder than anyone I know because I don't have the luxury of failure. Emma depends on me, and I won't let her down. Alexander leaned back, a thoughtful expression crossing his features. That's refreshingly honest. Most candidates try to convince me their lifelong passion is managing someone else's calendar. I can't afford that kind of fiction, Olivia admitted. But I can promise you this. If given the opportunity, I will approach this position with the same discipline and dedication that once earned me national recognition. Not because I'm passionate about scheduling, but because excellence is the only standard I accept for myself. Alexander nodded slowly. What would you consider your greatest weakness, Miss Carter? Olivia nearly laughed at the standard interview question coming after everything that had transpired. Currently? My appearance, obviously. More generally? I sometimes struggle to accept help. After my divorce, I was determined to prove I could manage everything alone. It's taken time to recognize that independence doesn't mean isolation. And your greatest strength? Perspective, she answered without hesitation. I understand what matters and what doesn't. Crisis doesn't rattle me because I've faced real problems, not just inconveniences masquerading as emergencies. Alexander's lips curved slightly. You don't think being late to an interview is a real problem? It's a problem, she acknowledged, but not an insurmountable one. It doesn't define my capabilities or my worth, even when others judge you for it. Olivia thought of Ms. Hartwell's dismissive attitude and the other candidates' whispers. People will always judge based on incomplete information. I can't control that. I can only control how I respond. Alexander studied her for a long moment, then abruptly changed direction. Tell me about your daughter. The question warmed something in Olivia's chest. Emma is 8. Brilliant, stubborn, kind. She wants to be a veterinarian 1 week, an astronaut the next. She's been through more changes than a child should experience, but she remains resilient. She's my greatest accomplishment. Does she know her mother is a martial arts champion? Former champion, Olivia corrected. And yes, though I'm not sure she fully understands what that means. I still practice with her sometimes, teaching her basic self-defense. It's important for girls to feel powerful in their own bodies. Alexander nodded thoughtfully. One final question, Ms. Carter. If you hadn't stopped to help that young woman in the parking lot, knowing it might cost you this opportunity, would you still be satisfied with your choice? Without hesitation, Olivia replied, Absolutely, Some principles aren't negotiable. I wouldn't want to work for a company that expected me to ignore someone in danger. Alexander's smile reached his eyes for the first time. Neither would I. A knock at the door interrupted them. At Alexander's acknowledgement, a security officer entered, followed by the young woman from the parking lot. Up close, Olivia noticed her striking resemblance to Alexander, the same straight nose, determined chin, and intense gray eyes. "Alex," the young woman said, ignoring professional formalities. "Is this her?" "The woman who helped me." Alexander stood. "Olivia Carter, meet my sister, Sophia Reed." Sophia rushed forward to grasp Olivia's hands. "Thank you so much. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't shown up. It was incredible, like watching an action movie, except real." Olivia smiled, embarrassed by the effusive gratitude. "I'm glad I could help." "Help!" Sophia exclaimed. "You were amazing. One minute they were surrounding me, and the next they were all on the ground. Where did you learn to do that?" "Ms. Carter is a former national jiu-jitsu competitor," Alexander explained, watching Olivia with newfound interest. "Apparently, she's been hiding considerable talents behind a rather conventional resume." The security officer cleared his throat. "Sir, the police would like Miss Carter to know that the men she apprehended were wanted in connection with a string of assaults and robberies in the area. They've been looking for this group for weeks." Alexander's eyebrows rose. "Is that so?" "The leader had outstanding warrants in 3 counties. Officer continued. "They're requesting Miss Carter come to the station when convenient to provide a formal statement." After the security officer departed, Sophia turned to her brother. "Alex, please tell me you're hiring her. Anyone who can do what she did deserves whatever position she wants." Alexander's lips quirked in amusement. "I believe Miss Carter was interviewing for the executive assistant position before she decided to apprehend wanted criminals instead." "I should have stayed for the interview," Olivia admitted ruefully. "It wasn't very professional to run out like that." "Professional?" Alexander repeated, his expression suddenly serious. "Ms. Carter, I watched the entire incident from this window. While 20 of my employees stood recording with their phones, you, who had every reason to focus solely on securing employment, were the only one who acted. That speaks volumes about your character." Olivia felt her cheeks warm under his direct gaze. "I did what anyone should have done." "But they didn't," he pointed out softly. "You did." Sophia squeezed Olivia's arm. "I need to get back to campus for a lecture, but I wanted to thank you personally. I hope I'll see you again." After Sophia left, Alexander gestured for Olivia to retake her seat. "My sister is studying criminal justice," he explained. "Ironic that she was nearly a victim of the very system she's preparing to serve." "She seems very determined," Olivia observed. "A family trait," Alexander acknowledged with a small smile. Then more seriously, "Ms. Carter, I find myself in an unusual position. The executive assistant role you applied for requires organizational skills, discretion, and professionalism, all qualities your resume suggests you possess. However, what I witnessed today indicates you have additional capabilities that would be wasted in that position." Olivia's heart sank. After everything, was he still going to reject her? "I'd like to offer you a different role," he continued. "Security consultant and administrative director. You would oversee our corporate security protocols, staff training, and coordinate directly with me on sensitive matters. The position comes with flexible hours to accommodate your daughter's needs, comprehensive benefits including premium health care coverage, and a salary significantly higher than the executive assistant position." Olivia stared at him in disbelief. "Mr. Reed, I don't have formal security credentials." "You have something better. Proven instincts and abilities. Credentials can be acquired. Character cannot." He leaned forward. "I built Meridian by recognizing potential where others see only convention. You're exactly the kind of person I want on my team." "This feels surreal," Olivia admitted. "This morning I was desperate for any position that would pay the bills. And now I'm wondering if I'm dreaming." Alexander smiled, and something in his expression made Olivia's pulse quicken. "I assure you this is very real." As they discussed the details of the position, Olivia learned that Alexander had lost his own mother at a young age and been raised primarily by his father, who had struggled to balance parenting with professional demands. His understanding of her situation seemed genuine, not performative. "There's something else you should know," he said as their conversation drew to a close. "I don't typically conduct interviews personally, but I requested to meet you after reviewing your application." "You did? Why?" Alexander hesitated, then reached for a tablet on the table. A few taps brought up a video on the screen, which he turned toward her. Olivia recognized herself immediately. 3 years younger, competing in her final national championship. The camera followed her through a particularly challenging match, capturing the moment she executed the same move she'd used on the leader in the parking lot. A modification of a traditional technique she developed herself. "You follow my career?" she asked, astonished. "I follow exceptional talent in any field," he corrected. "I remember watching this competition and being impressed by your innovation. When your name appeared in the applicant pool, I was curious about what had taken you from national recognition to seeking an administrative position." "Life happened," Olivia said simply. "Divorce, single motherhood, priorities that shifted." Alexander nodded thoughtfully. "Life happens to everyone, Miss Carter. What matters is how we respond. You adapted without compromising your core principles. That's rarer than you might think." He extended his hand. "So, do we have an agreement?" As Olivia shook his hand, she felt something shift inside her, hope displacing the constant anxiety that had been her companion for 3 years. "We do, Mr. Reed. And thank you. Alexander, please. I think you've earned the right to first names after saving my sister." Their handshake lingered a moment longer than strictly necessary, and Olivia found herself noticing details she'd been too overwhelmed to register earlier. The warmth in his gray eyes, the slight curl at the corners of his mouth when he smiled, the quiet confidence that required no arrogance to assert itself. "Olivia, then," she agreed, surprised by the warmth spreading through her chest. "I won't disappoint you." His smile deepened. "Somehow, I don't think that's possible." 3 months later, Olivia stood in her new office, watching the sunset paint the city's skyline in shades of gold and amber. The space, with its large windows, elegant furnishings, and photographs of Emma displayed prominently on the desk, still felt like someone else's life she'd accidentally stepped into. A knock at the door preceded Alexander's entrance. In the months since she joined Meridian, their professional relationship had evolved into something both efficient and comfortable. They worked well together, her straightforward approach complementing his visionary thinking. "Security report?" he asked, though his smile suggested he hadn't come merely for business. "All clear," she replied, handing him the folder. "The new protocols are implemented across all departments, and staff feedback has been overwhelmingly positive." "Excellent. And how's Emma adjusting to the new school?" The personal question didn't surprise Olivia anymore. Alexander had taken a genuine interest in her daughter from the beginning, arranging for Emma to attend a prestigious academy near Meridian's headquarters when he learned of her academic potential. "She loves it," Olivia answered, unable to keep the pride from her voice. "Her science teacher says she has a natural aptitude for research. Apparently, she's already planning her first veterinary breakthrough." Alexander laughed. "I wouldn't bet against her. Determination seems to run in the family." His gaze held hers a moment longer than necessary, and Olivia felt the now familiar flutter in her chest. Something had been building between them, slowly, carefully, with mutual respect as its foundation. "Sophia asked if Emma might like to attend her self-defense workshop for young girls next weekend," he mentioned. "She's quite taken with your daughter. The feeling is mutual. Emma thinks your sister is the coolest person she's ever met." "And what about her brother?" Alexander asked, his tone light, but his eyes serious. "Any opinions there?" Olivia felt heat rise to her cheeks. "Emma thinks you're pretty awesome for a grown-up." Her words, not mine. High praise from an 8-year-old, he acknowledged with a smile. "And her mother? Any opinions there?" The directness of the question caught Olivia off guard, though perhaps it shouldn't have. Alexander Reed had never been one for unnecessary ambiguity. "Her mother," Olivia began carefully, "thinks that some things happen for a reason, that sometimes the worst day can become the best opportunity, that kindness and integrity don't go unnoticed, even when you think no one is watching." Alexander moved closer, his expression softening. That day in the interview, when you told me you'd made your choice without regret, knowing it might cost you the job, that's when I knew you were exceptional. I was just being honest, Olivia said. Exactly. He reached for her hand, his touch gentle but certain. Olivia, I don't want to complicate your life or Emma's. I know you've been through challenging times, and stability is important to you both. But I'd like to take you to dinner, not as your boss, but as a man who finds himself thinking about you far more often than is professionally appropriate. Olivia looked down at their joined hands, then back to his face. People will talk. Let them, he replied simply. What matters is what's true, not what others perceive. And what is true, Alexander? His fingers tightened slightly around hers. That sometimes you find strength in the most unexpected places. That judging by appearances rarely reveals the full story. That second chances come in forms we don't anticipate. Olivia felt the last of her hesitation dissolve. Emma has karate on Thursday nights. Friday would work for dinner. His smile illuminated his entire face. Friday it is. As they stood together watching the last light fade from the sky, Olivia reflected on the journey that had brought her here. From the desperate single mother ridiculed in a waiting room to a woman who had found not only professional fulfillment, but personal possibility as well. Life's greatest opportunities often arrived disguised as obstacles. Her worst day had become the doorway to a future brighter than she dared to imagine. Not because of luck or even skill, but because she remained true to her principles when it mattered most. Some fights weren't won with martial arts techniques, but with the courage to face each day with integrity and hope. And sometimes the heart you needed to guard most carefully was your own, not from pain, but from the fear that would prevent you from recognizing love when it finally, unexpectedly, appeared. Speech Balloon, do you believe some people are destined to meet? Subscribe for more heartwarming stories about life's unexpected twists and second chances.